Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now today I'm joined by a very special guest, and it has been a while since me and Cecil have had a chat about Arsenal, so I'm just really happy to chat a bit about the season and all things Arsenal. So Cecil, thank you for coming on. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. No need to thank me. It's always a pleasure coming on your channel. So I appreciate the shout, the invite, and you know how lovely you are online as well. So it's always, like I said, a pleasure to come and join you. But I'm good. Things are good. I'm trying to like switch off.
Yeah.
Like now because we didn't win the league. I just said people keep after obviously United won the FA Cup. My phone was just going crazy. Oh, better season, all this rubbish. So I
Oh,
just
I
said,
know.
I'm on holiday. Leave me alone. The season's done.
You need a
But no,
break
I
from
am
it.
good though. I am good. I am good.
Yeah, I know it's been quite a weird season. I mean, especially United ending the season with a trophy, and it's really weird how you kind of define success as a season. Because if you look at our season, I think we've done really well. We have improved, but we've not won anything. So
Yeah.
I do think it's really difficult because I know we do need to win stuff, and there is the argument. But I wanted to actually start off by talking a bit about Pep Guardiola because it does seem like next season could be his last season. Obviously, nothing really has been confirmed properly, but he did sort of say he's closer to leaving than staying. I mean, if he left, if last season was his last one at Man City, I mean, how do you feel about that? How do you think it would kind of change the Premier League if he left?
Yeah, get him gone, man.
Yeah.
Get him gone. No, honestly, obviously what he's done since he's been at City has been remarkable. Yeah, I mean, he's just done the four-peat. I think it's like 6 and last 7 Premier Leagues. Like he is very, very successful and he's built a machine of a team. I speak with Nathan Ake quite a bit. I have some insight that that it's all because of him. Obviously the players are good, but he says like what he brings to training, how he always reinvents is down to him, and he's a genius when it comes to it. He's obsessed with it, and yeah, he's the reason why we haven't got 2 Premier League trophies. So obviously, I want to see him go, but I'm not going to take away from the fact what he's achieved at Man City. It's incredible. I even spoke. I'm going to keep doing little drops here, so forgive me. I was with Reece Nelson 2 weeks ago, and actually it was last week, and he said about Pep, and he just said like, throughout the season they have like a formula at each section of the season, so like first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, and you kind of can see that as well. You can see like how they start kind of slowish with I guess a certain formula that they're trying to work things out, and then towards the back end of the season they really pick up and go on this mentality monster push to the end of the season. That's what Reece Nelson told me, and he said I actually believe Mikel Arteta has something similar. He would know about this kind of setup as well, because obviously he was at Man City with Pep, so he probably cottoned on to that. But it is interesting to kind of hear it from a player's perspective. So, and he
Yeah.
just said they're so good in the sense the way they always have answers. There's always a spare man available, and yeah, I have to give it to him. I think he's incredible, Pep Guardiola, and he's had a really good stint at City. But yeah, it's time to go. I believe he'll probably be gone by the end of the next season. I think this will be his last season, and do you
Yeah.
know what? Fair play. I mean, he's done the treble, the four-peat, and then to leave, well, he didn't get the double. I thought he was going to get the double in the end, but he didn't. But to leave, yeah, with how many Premier League trophies, or how many trophies he's won in general, in this era, he kind of built a lot of City's history now that will live on. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite strange. I think it doesn't surprise me if he did leave at the end of the season because he has won so much. I mean, what else is there to win? I mean, he's won everything really. So I
Yeah,
think,
that's it. Sorry to cut you there, Steph. That's it. I just think reinvigorating a team again and again. I honestly, I don't know how. I've been in campaigns in a football season where I've just missed out of top spot, and then the want to get back into it again and go for it again over a 38 game period, it is a lot. So I just have to literally, that's why I have so much credit for him, because and respect, because I don't know how he gets his team to go again and again and then win as well on top
yeah.
of that. So fair
I
play.
do wonder as well if he left, how many players would leave with him as well. I wonder how Man City would be without him, especially with Haaland. I do always think Haaland wouldn't be in the Premier League for a very long time. I kind of see him as a player that would probably stay for a few more seasons, but I think that's going to be dead interesting which players would leave with him, because obviously Pep's built an amazing team. They've been so successful, so it's going to be interesting with that. And obviously our season, as I mentioned before, I think, you reflect on it, and I think it's a shame we've missed out because we were so close, 2 points behind Man City. But for you, how would you rate the season? Because if you look at United, they've obviously had a bad season, but they've won a trophy. Obviously, we've not won any trophies, but we have improved a lot this season, haven't we, in the league?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough question, and it's not a tough question for me because I'm going to go off my personal experience. So, personally, listen, I've said this in another video. It's not a successful season; it's a progressive season. We definitely
Yeah,
progressed, and that's the truth of it all. But I have to be honest with how I feel, and what I experienced through the season. I really enjoyed this season. I know
yeah,
we didn't lift the trophy in the end, but from the beginning of the season, from the Community Shield all the way through, I know at the beginning there was a bit of rustiness and just trying to work things out. We saw Thomas Partey playing right back, Gabriel being dropped.
yeah,
We saw a few mistakes from the back line. Obviously, the changing of Ramsdale and Raya. There was a lot of I don't know, just growing pains, shall we say, at the beginning of the season. But we were still kind of picking up points, we weren't dropping too many. And then when we kind of clicked into gear, I really enjoyed it. So when it comes to rating it, from my personal experience of going through it, going to each game and whatnot, I mean, it's up there. We broke so many records: best defensive record, more games won than the Invincibles, loads
yeah,
of goals scored, slapping teams 5s, 6s, 4s. I had chess throughout the season, which was nice to have again. It's not like we got we got
yeah,
embarrassed a lot. Most of the games, even Champions League, when we went out to Bayern Munich, it's not like we got embarrassed and made a mockery of. We actually held our own in a sense. I know we lost, but it wasn't like I said, we didn't capitulate in that. So I have enjoyed it. Rating is hard. Obviously, we didn't win anything, so it can't be a 10. It can't be a 9 either because nine's too high considering we didn't lift anything. But I am floating around the 8s and 7s. We progressed from the season
yeah.
before. I know we came second, but we capitulated last season. I actually think we bottled it last season. But this season, we really took it all the way to the last day. It's 8 or 7, but where am I going to place it? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 8 because I feel like there's enough I've taken from this season to know next season it's going to
Yeah,
be really good. And again, I think people will say it's a higher rating, and it probably is. I think people most majority would say a 7. But I'm going off what I experienced. I really enjoyed how the club was just ran this season. The players we brought in, the surprises that I had of some players that I really didn't think were going to work. The connection I have with the team and whatnot. Personally, from my lived experience, I have to go 8. And again, I'm a positive fan, so I'm going to lean to the higher number. So, yeah, it didn't end the way. Like I said, not successful, but definitely a lot of progress that I can hold on to. And I'm sure many Arsenal fans can as well going into next season.
yeah, I think that's like a fair judgment because I would say as well, I'd probably say, towards the 8 mark as well, because you can see the season we've been much better, especially towards the end. Because I know in recent seasons, when it comes to maybe the last 5 games, we do kind of struggle a bit. So I think the fact we didn't give up towards the end is so important, that we've obviously improved in that. But I think you make a good point at the start of the season. Things weren't too good. I mean, I know before Dubai as well, I was kind of worried, are we going to stay within the top 4 in a way, because I feel like the more games you lose, you're falling behind a bit.
Yeah.
And I think whatever happened in Dubai, it definitely definitely helped us. I don't know what happened, but I don't care, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm trying to work out. I know Robbie went over there as well. I'm trying to go over there just to see what the secret is.
Yeah,
Honestly, I don't
what
know
is
what happened.
it? Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened, but I think we can't complain. I think it has been a good season, but I know there's a lot of pressure now for us to win trophies, and it is hard because I do like an FA Cup. I think the League Cup's quite an interesting one because some fans feel like it's not a big trophy and they wouldn't want to win it. How do you feel
Yeah,
about the League
I,
Cup?
I'm not on that. I'm not on that. I'll be honest. We argue a lot at the office about this. Like,
Yeah,
I don't see how it's hard. I can't turn my nose up at trophies. I don't think many Arsenal fans should as well. I think a trophy is silverware. It goes in your history, regardless of if you
yeah,
think
exactly.
it's small or not. It's silverware, and we haven't won the League Cup. I think it's like 1993. It's before I was
It's
born.
been a
Like,
long time.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's been ages. Like, I would like it. I would like it. I'll be honest. I'll keep, yeah, I've got to keep consistent and keep it real, and that's how I feel. Again, I was annoyed we went out the League Cup with such a wimp attempt at it as well. Same with the FA Cup as well. That's supposed to be our trophy. United now on 13, one behind us. That annoyed me. Again,
mm,
Champions League's different, Premier League's different, but yeah, the League Cup. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of every
Any
listen,
trophy,
every
yeah.
trophy. Like I just even, and this is shameless as hell. Even that Community Shield when I was at Wembley, I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Like
me
it sets you up for the season. Like, and we beat Man City, and I know people listen. Again, I'm not going to put it in like my arguments when I come to speaking to other fans and whatnot, the Community Shield, but I really did enjoy winning it. Start the season. I've started the season in the right way.
yeah,
It breeds a winning mentality as well. I think when you look at it as well, when Pep Guardiola came in as well, he took every trophy serious, and every trophy, that League Cup, he didn't take it as a joke League Cup when he first arrived. He played his strong team. So throughout, yes, and nowadays, yes, of course he rotates, but let's not forget the rotation teams that you're putting out there are a strong side. They're better than a lot of first teams in the Premier League. So
yeah,
I just think I don't think we're in a position personally to be turning our noses up at silverware as Arsenal fans. Even the high standard old school heritage Arsenal fans that say, you know, I was there when we won this, we won that. I don't think you should be turning your nose up at any trophy, but that's my personal opinion. That's how I feel.
yeah.
I enjoy seeing my team lift trophies, regardless of what it is.
Exactly. Like for me, a trophy is a trophy. I mean, like you said with the Community Shield, I remember when we won that, it felt really good because I know at that start of the season, obviously Timber as well had a great
Mm,
performance, and it felt like a good, trophy to win as the start of the season to take us on into the season and hopefully
yeah,
win more silverware. But I definitely think next season, if we don't win the league, obviously it'll be disappointing again. But I think if we can get, an FA Cup, a League Cup as well, or one of them. I do love an FA Cup actually. I think when you look at, United, Man City going to Wembley, you just want it to be your club that's
yeah,
going there. It was
yeah.
hard to watch because you just feel like I wish that was Arsenal. It is
Well,
hard.
that's exactly how I felt. I'm even seeing some of the celebrate. Obviously, my phone was going off when United won, but the celebrations of even City winning the Premier League, I saw a lot of that. I see a lot of. I know Sporting in Manchester. I saw Ian Wright actually had some comments saying it's not the same them winning it. Like it doesn't seem like there's actually a buzz in Manchester. Like
Yeah,
we need one of our clubs to win it. It seems like it's just a normal day there. That's what I saw his comments, and that did make me laugh. But still, they're having celebrations. It's the same with the FA Cup as well. United like. I want to again see that for the team. I've been there when we've won many FA Cups and whatnot, and I've seen that. But I want that back for the club. I really do.
yeah,
Like it's something that we should take pride in. And I know people. I wasn't obviously talking about Community Shield as a major trophy, but let's not forget people say we want to get to Wembley because we know how good Arteta's records there, and that's because of the fact those Community Shield games, maybe the FA Cup games as well. He's got a really good record there. So there
yeah,
is there is a sense that you want to be in these finals regardless because you will have confidence in your team to get it done because Mikel Arteta has proven it. So I don't know. Yeah, that is. I am a bit. I am a bit jealous of that, and I know I always get like that. I do get jealous of final days when it comes to teams winning things. Even
yeah,
when I was when I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, when they won the World Cup, I want that so much just for Arsenal. Like the streets were
yeah.
incredible. It was like carnival, and I just feel like we will be on that scale if Arsenal pick up a major trophy. So I just hope this season we experience that, and for everyone to experience it as well, because that feeling of being at the parade is just sensational.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, next season, I think it's going to be an important season. I think possibly there is a slight pressure maybe on Arteta to bring back some silverware because I think as Arsenal fans, we can see the progress we've made. But I think if you're outside of Arsenal, people might look at it and think one FA Cup in 4 years and two Community Shields. And I do want to win something next season. I think the league is really hard, especially when you're competing with Man City because they're just absolutely they're too good, and it is hard. But for you next season, especially in the Champions League as well, what would you say your expectations and hopes are for next season?
Sophie, you know me, but this is a bit different.
It's hard.
Him winning a trophy though is a must next season.
Yeah,
I'll be real. Like, I love Arteta. Cool, whatever. I won't go as far as that Arteta essentials that everyone talks about, but I like Arteta. I love this team, but we got to be real here now. We have
yeah,
to win a trophy, and the reason why I say that is because this team went on and challenged City pushed them all the way. They didn't lose to City in all the three matches they played them last season. They didn't lose to Liverpool either in the league. So I just think when you're that good of a team, even beating Man United as well. We beat Man United as well. Home and away, they won the FA Cup. The reason why I'm bringing up these teams is because um, simply when it goes into next season, you've beaten the top teams really in the country in the most competitive competition in the Premier League. That for me shows you that it's enough to go and win a cup next season. Like you've done it. I know
Yeah.
we'll go on cup runs, but talk about the cup run and it's luck of the draw and whatnot. But I've seen our team beat and compete with the top teams. So next season, not getting a trophy, I think for me would be unacceptable. It really would. And
Yeah.
of course, I'm not saying Champions League. I mean, it's possible, but I'm not saying Champions League, but I'm saying, yeah, Premier League, I'm saying FA Cup and or the League Cup. Like, you have to be picking up silverware next season. There's been so much progress and we've
Yeah.
backed him. We continue to back him. I've enjoyed the changes. I can reel off everything that he's, where he's brought the club from to now. And I have a lot of respect for it. But trophies at the end of the day is what you're going to be judged on right at the end. So it's not to say I'm not against him. I'm not doing the high standards merchants that are going over the top.
Yeah, I know there's a lot about
Yeah, there's a lot online, and I've seen it all. And I think people questioning him right now and saying get rid of the manager now, I think is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I will understand their arguments and probably be with them when it comes to the end of next season if we haven't got silverware, because there's pressure being at Arsenal Football Club. There's pressure being a manager there, of course, and
Yeah.
Arteta knows that. But now you've shown you're basically there. You now have to get it over the line, where that is your next big question. Can you get it over the line? Next season's the time to prove it, because you have everything in place to go on and do it. And I think you'll get the back end this summer. So there's no
Yeah.
excuses coming
Yeah,
in.
I think, I mean, I know there has been, fans have said, next season, if he doesn't win anything, how would you feel? Because it's very difficult, because I can't imagine him not being at Arsenal, because he's taken us so far. And I think at the moment it would be ridiculous to ask him to leave or to question that right now.
Well, this is the thing that went across my mind. Sometimes I think about Arsenal a lot. Sometimes I'll be on a walk or I'll be out. But
Yeah,
this came through my
90%
mind.
of your brain's like
Yeah, all
Arsenal.
the time. Like, thinking about the club,
Yeah.
like, it came from my mind that, like, if we sacked, even at the end of next season, or say even this season, if we sacked him,
Yeah.
my biggest fear is he goes to another club in the Premier League and
wins.
turns them around, and then like we're then competing against Mikel Arteta, and that is listen, football that happens in football, but that is something I don't want to see. I know, and the reason why I thought about this, because obviously he was linked to Barcelona, he's been linked to
Yeah.
Real Madrid as well in the past. Like, I just think if City get rid of Pep, Mikel Arteta seems like the next fit in line, and people will be like, nah. But there is truth that, like, he's been at Man City. He knows the
Yeah.
players that are still there. He has good relationships with them. Pep pretty much co-signs him anyway, and every time he speaks about him, they are very good friends. My biggest fear is if that happens. Obviously, we know, we've seen him when he was at City. He never celebrated any Arsenal goals, but I just don't want this club to really go over the top and disrespect to Mikel Arteta, and he goes to a
Make a
rival, and
mistake,
then we're
yeah.
like, well, now look. So it's just a small thought that came into my mind. I say hold on to him this season, give him the season, because I think it's only right. Clear out some of the players that he got wrong, which I think that's fair to say. I give him so much credit for what he's got right, and I have full trust in him and
Yeah.
back him. But there's still Kieran Tierney on our books. I didn't sign him, but okay, Nuno Tavares, we've got Lukonga still on our books. There's still Cedric still on our books. There's still players that need to get moved on that were his players. So, yes, once he clears up them and brings in, he has this summer window, which I think will be heavily backed. He has to bring in silverware, but I think he knows that.
Yeah, I think, it's quite a difficult question, because I think, you can see how far he's taken us. And I think, like you said, if we ever did, get rid of him and he went somewhere else, and, we could even win stuff, and it would feel like a mistake to get rid of him. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I think last season, I think I felt more disappointed and hurt than like proud. I think this season I do feel more like I feel more positive about our future and about us going in the right direction. But I do think, like you said, next season we've got to win something. Like you said, even if it's, I mean, I think if we won like a League Cup and came second, I would want a bit more than that. But I think it is a trophy that be good to win. I mean, you look at United, they've not had a great season, but they've been able to win a trophy, and it just shows you if they can do it, surely we can do it.
The thing, two trophies in 2 seasons from Eric Ten Hag, and listen, I think it's a mess over there at the moment. But you can't. I find it hard to argue with them saying my manager got this. Like, I know Mikel Arteta picked up FA Cup with a bad team in his first season, so fair play, his first half season. So that holds a lot of weight for me. But you look at United, who, like I just said there, who basically just won 2 trophies in 2 seasons, one being a League Cup. Of course, you can shoot that away and turn your nose up at it. But I still think that's good for him in his first season to win that, and then an FA Cup. And now they get rid of him. People say that look at their standards, but I just think, yeah, like you just said there, that's why I think there's pressure on Mikel Arteta, and there isn't really the thing is there's not an excuse not to win a trophy next season for me, and
exactly.
there'll be Arsenal fans that argue and say there's context. What happens if he goes to like the final of the Champions League, or he pushes City all the way again, and Pep's still Pep Guardiola, and I hear all that, but I don't think that's going to fly with many Arsenal fans. I speak to them regardless. If you don't pick up a trophy because of those reasons, I mean, we're very aware of Pep Guardiola. We're aware that he's in the league, but we're also aware that we didn't lose to him this season. So
that's impressive.
You can't really be like Pep Guardiola. It's the ones where you messed up against the Fulhams, the Aston Villas, the West Ham. So that is more on you than more on Pep Guardiola. So I just feel like we have to. I know we've mentioned a few times, pick up silverware in the next season, but I don't think it's a task that's massively impossible. I think it's very much in the realms of possibility for Arsenal. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, there's no excuses if you think about it next season, because we've got a much bigger squad now than we might have had a few seasons back. I think, like, why not go all out with the team and put a strong lineup, especially. I do think we have had it a little bit hard, because I know we had Liverpool, I'm pretty sure, last season in an early stage in the trophy, in a competition, but it does happen, and you do have to put your best team out, and we've got to win something next season. I think a lot of fans know that. I think he knows that, like you said himself, he'll want to win silverware. I know that him and the players are quite hungry to do that, especially win the league, because we were so close and it would have been hard for the players to take. But I know, I do think next season is going to be a big season. Transfers is going to be, I think we've got to really, I know you said before about players that we've got like the Conga, Tavares. I mean, I don't really expect them to be a part of the team next season, because I don't see how they would fit in the starting 11. I mean, is there any players that you would like to see come back? I know we mentioned Tierney as well. He's, he was on loan. I mean, do you see him fitting in the team, especially at left back? Or
it's a weird one, because someone asked me just quickly before I move on to the transfers questions. Like you said, the cup run. I think that's an argument that people say. Fans, the cup run's always been hard. Liverpool. I remember City in the cup. We lost 1-0. Nathan Ake, funny enough, scored a goal, but it was we were all over them. Arteta heavily rotated, but I just think when coming to next season, you'll have all your players, firstly, and secondly, you'll have the squad, I believe, that'll be your squad to say, okay, I can rotate and still have the strength. I think City have that when it comes to cup competitions. I think when they rotate, it still is a very strong squad. I think with what you have available to you now, and with a few additions, you'll have that in the next cup competition coming into this next season. In regards to the players, into like Tierney, it's weird, because I think a lot of fans will say, we've got to move on from Zinchenko. Actually, both City players, Zinchenko and Jesus. There's a wide majority of fans I've spoken with that want to move on, and do you bring in a Kieran Tierney? For me, especially off his comments of like, I'm really happy here. The club is out on loan, and he's been really comfortable there. I don't see us rebuilding and putting Tierney back into the side. I think Mikel Arteta has moved forward from that style of fullback. As much as I think us fans hold on to him, the t-shirt in the winter weather and shorts and no glove, those traditionalists and all that. They like all that, that sort of player and that mentality from Kieran Tierney. But that sort of player, the traditional fullback that just, does the overlapping down the line and can just be as solid in defending. I think Arteta's moving forward from inverting either both fullbacks, or he needs to have a team that can do that. I think going forward, you need to have element of surprises when it comes to playing teams within the league. I think Tierney won't offer that unless we're reverting back to, that sort of style that we had back in the day. But I really think the team's kind of moved on from Kieran Tierney, which is a shame, because again, I'm a big fan of him. I think the players you want to see kind of fit into the team and stay in the team. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to happen. I've been a big critic of Thomas Partey. And because of the injury and whatnot. But I just feel like if you can get him fit, keep him with Jorginho's just signed another contract for a year, and you bring in another midfielder, and Partey's all right to just be a rotation defensive midfielder, I'd like to see him stay. The likes of the HLM boys, I think that's a big question. Reece Nelson, I mean, again, like I said, I was with him not too long ago. I never asked him if he's staying or going, and I just don't want to put that. I didn't want to
Pressure.
put that on
Yeah.
him. Yeah, pressure on him when we're just, we were just chilling together for the whole day. But from the energy I got off him, I think he is looking for minutes. He really
Yeah.
is. That I can actually tell you with full facts, because we're speaking about, international caps and maybe representing Jamaica or getting a run at England team. And he was like, I want a full run of a season in a club to showcase himself. So he definitely wants minutes. Whether that's at Arsenal, I don't know. I think it might be the time for him to move on, and that's not in a way of disrespect, because Reece Nelson's a very good player. I just think he can get minutes at a top club and show off, his ability.
Yeah.
Likes of Eddie Nketiah, kind of the same as well. I think it's time to move on. I think you move on from Eddie Nketiah. He's on, 100k a week, 14 top. He's played his part at Arsenal for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just think he's another player I think you want to move on. The ones that I'm struggling with was kind of Reece Nelson and Emile Smith-Rowe and a Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira, obviously not a hairline boy, but a player that I believe has quality. I actually think,
Yeah.
I just think, is it enough to come into an Arsenal team and really get it going when it comes to cup runs or, in
Yeah.
the latter stages of the league? Now, I think Arteta is going to move to a lone six in the next season. So maybe a Declan Rice just to hold that six and have 2 8s in front. Fabio Vieira, could he deploy that? Yeah, I think it's in his ability, but it just depends if you're going to go over him or you're going to look at Bruno Gomares or those sort of players. Depends who you're bringing in. But I'm still not sure about Fabio Vieira. Emile Smith-Rowe, I love him.
It's a difficult one,
It's
isn't it?
difficult. It's
I
just
would love him to stay, but I just don't know if he would.
yeah. It's the one where if the fee is right coming in for him, I think you have to try and look to move him on. But I think he's a quality player. If he stays, I wouldn't be angry at it. But if he does stay, I just hope, one, he stays fit, and two, he is
Mhm.
used. I don't want him to be a Reece Nelson. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that disrespectfully, but because Saka is so favoured by Mikel Arteta, I don't want you to just be getting a few minutes here and there. If you're going to be kept, it's only right you play him. So, and that's my opinion, because he has quality, and I think
Yeah, it's
there is positions where he can play in this Arsenal side.
I do think with Smith Rowe, I do think, like you said, if the money was right, I reckon Arsenal would probably take it and maybe move him on, because he hasn't really been getting many minutes. I know he has had injuries and stuff,
Yeah.
but I think I'd be sad if he left, but I'd understand, because like Reece Nelson as well, he needs minutes, and Eddie as well, I suppose. I think we know with Eddie that, I think he will be moving on because he's not really played much either. But I do think a lot of players do need to get minutes for their career, and yeah, Smith Rowe as well. I think he'll be upset as well if he left, but I think
Yeah.
he wants minutes probably himself. Yeah, it's going to be a big summer, I think, for us as well. And there's one player that we've been linked to, and I know Marcus Rashford's been one that I know you'd want. I could just tell you'd love him, Arsenal. But I wanted to ask you about that, because for me, like, I'm not against it, but then
Yeah.
I just don't know if it would be a success. But then I look at him and I thought, in the cup game, he did really well. And I think if Arteta can get this out of Havertz, then what could he get out of Rashford? Like, I can't help but think that. But how do you feel about that if he came to Arsenal?
Sorry, people. A smile came on my face because literally just before we started recording, I was messaging in our AFTV group about Marcus Rashford. Should we do a video to basically discussing it? Because
Yeah,
it's not. Listen, I didn't smile to say yeah, I definitely want him. I smiled because yeah, that was the reason. Literally just before we went live, I just said, because I see the discourse online. I see a lot of people talking about it.
yeah, it's been
Um,
quite, yeah.
Yeah, I see it kind of going around this morning. Actually, the past couple of days, but I do see a lot of it this morning. And it sounds mad, but I feel like I'm the most well placed to speak about it because I work so close to Rashford.
Yeah,
I work with his team. I'm close with his family. His brother is his mate, his manager and agent. I'm very close with him, Dwayne. And I was an advocate for having Marcus Rashford back in the day. I think 2 summers ago, when he had a bad season, and I said we should get him this summer. And everyone, it was when I was in Orlando, and everyone walked out of the house and laughed at me. And then he started the season, had an unbelievable season. I think it was, I don't know if that was the Euro year. No, it wasn't Euro year. It was, he had a good season start to the season. Everyone was like, oh, Cecil might have been right. But now things obviously changed. He has big purple patches at Man United. He doesn't
yeah,
seem happy. My personal opinion, a little bit of insight to people. I kind of know that his family like the Arsenal project. They They like Mikel Arteta. They think Rashford will do well here.
Yeah.
But if you want my personal opinion, I am a Rashford fan. I will never change that. I've been with him from when he first came through, doing a lot of his adverts and his shoots. I do pretty much do all of them. So I'm with him quite a lot. I know the talent and the ability this boy has. And
Yeah.
it's not just me saying it, because people say, "Oh, how can we trust what you're saying?" If you hear a lot of like England players talk about Rashford, or even the United players, they'll tell you he's a very technically gifted player. He's an unbelievably talented player. The way he strikes the ball is different to most people. He has a way of striking the ball. His feet is incredible. We don't get to see it. I think he gets a lot of. He's just a over the top and push it and run merchant, like just clip it long, and he's a counter attack merchant. That's what a lot of fans see him as. But I know how amazingly gifted he is as a player,
Yeah.
and a lot of his teammates will back him up and say, I think I've heard Declan Rice even talk about how technically gifted he is and how difficult he is to defend against him. And it was Sancho as well, when it comes to ability on the ball. But I'll be real. Like, let me make this clear to people. I am a Rashford fan, yes, but I am an Arsenal fan as well, an Arsenal fan first. So
Yeah.
him at Arsenal, he will do well. I think Arteta would really get him.
Yeah.
When he's confident, he's unplayable. He's unbelievable. I
Yeah. He's a
think he
great
can get
player.
that out of Marcus Rashford. But the reason why I can argue against not having him at Arsenal, I think there might be a longer list maybe for that, because firstly, his wages. He's the most paid player, most expensive, highest paid player at Man United. We aren't going to pay that. I think he's on
Yeah.
320 to 350 a week. Sadly, he can't get that at Arsenal. I'm aware that his team, I think, would understand that he'd have to take a pay cut. And I think they probably would be happy to do that. But when we mean pay cut, I mean it has to be a drastic pay cut from 320, 350, whatever he's on at Man United. That's the first thing. Secondly, this season I saw things that I haven't seen from Marcus Rashford, and I've been with him a few times. He went out in Ireland. I'm not gonna do the China White thing after the derby because it was his brother's birthday. They have the same I think it's the 2 days apart. Yeah, it's 2 days apart. Rashford's birthday is 31st of October. This is going to sound so weird me saying all this, but the 31st of October is on Halloween. His brother's is the 2nd, I think. No, 30th of October. So they celebrated their joint birthday when they were caught in China White after the Man City derby, which I think was on my birthday, the 1st of November. So that is that. I'm going to leave that one. But going out, I think that in Dublin, that's unexcusable. Yeah, that for me is unexcusable. I think that attitude and mentality, we don't have that at Arsenal anymore. We saw Aubameyang being late for the North London derby,
Yeah.
and how Mikel Arteta reacted and responded to that. So that whole mentality, you can't come to Arsenal and have that. You also have, I don't know how to say this not negatively. He has a persona that he is the man. And you know what? At United, he has earned that respect. For me, Man United fans might disagree with me, but for me, he earned that respect for what he's done, one, for the country, and two, being a United boy through and through, coming through the academy. And he's had amazing seasons before. I know he has purple patches, but he's had amazing seasons. So he was the guy at United. At Arsenal, we don't have that. We are a team. There is
Yeah.
no individual that really gets special treatment or has, from what I see, has an ego that says, I'm the guy. Even Bukayo Saka, I think people will say he is star boy and all that, but even the way he carries himself, you would never expect that if you know
Yeah.
Arsenal and look at it as a team. So you can't come with that attitude. So there's a three main reasons why I think I don't know how well he integrates straight into Arsenal. I can see why some fans are like, no, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole or whatnot. I also think he is a Man United boy through and through. I know
Yeah.
I think his family do like the Arsenal project, but he is Mr. Man United when you look at it. As much as he's not in good form, that is kind of his title at the moment. So it's interesting. I do believe there's a good player in there. I think he'll do well at Arsenal. I just don't know with them other factors if it makes sense for Arsenal to go for him.
Yeah. It is hard because I feel quite in the middle about it. I think it is hard because I think this season he's probably not been as good maybe as last season, but I do think in that cup game, I think when he wants to, he can put in a really good
Yeah,
performance.
he turns up in big games. He turns up against
Yeah,
City.
I
He
think
scored
that's
that
what you.
screamer.
I think like it depends who else we would bring in because I know. I know for me, I think it would be good to bring in. I don't think Ollie Watkins would come because of them getting top four. I would like him. I think we just need a striker that we need like our own Henri. Like for me, we've needed a striker for a very long time. But
Ages.
yeah,
Ages.
I think with Rashford, like you said, I think a lot of fans are quite mixed about it. I think some fans are quite open to it. I mean, we've seen with Havertz, when he came, a lot of fans weren't sure. I wasn't really sure on bringing him because we saw him at Chelsea and he didn't do too good.
Yeah.
And then he's honestly got so much confidence. I do think a lot of that is down to Arteta. So you could bring out a better Rashford as well. At Arsenal, it is a tough one.
It's tough. I think. Do you know what it is? He's not at the top of my list. That's the way I kind of want to end it with Rashford. Like like I said, like him as a player, big him up every time. But I
Yeah.
just think he's not the top of my list. I want to Isak personally. If we're going
Yeah,
to go into realistic signings, Isak's probably not even realistic in my opinion. I don't know how much Rashford's going to cost, but I know this just gives him credit. But PSG are interested in him, so like that says it all. And I think he might even go to PSG if he doesn't stay at Man United. So he's not going to be cheap. Let's get that clear. So do you blow a lot of your budget on him? I know he hasn't got long left on his contract, so it might
it's a tough
not
one.
be as expensive as many crazy numbers, but it'll still be expensive. So I don't know how realistic it is. Ollie Watkins, his agent is an ex-Arsenal player. He's an Arsenal fan.
It just feels right if
So
he
like
came.
it feels right, but will Villa sell him? I'd probably not. And the price they
No.
want for him, probably not. Let's not forget he is in Champions League football this season. Why would obviously Arsenal's a big club, he supports them. But realistically, he might. I think Villa will do enough to try and keep him there. And again, they're playing Champions League football. He's probably going to want to go through that at Villa. So, and also, yeah, I mean, players change their lifestyles, but I know he's got a young one. He's got a family in Birmingham as well. That is kind of his home at the moment. I just think makes sense him staying there. Isak, will Newcastle want to sell Isak? I know they have to sell one of their big players probably for financial fair play. It's probably going to likely be Bruno rather than Isak. I want Isak. He's at the top of my list, Isak.
Yeah.
But like Robbie mentioned, like I think when I spoke with him, like we're gonna make about, I'd say 4 350 million pound signings. I don't think we're gonna go all out on one big signing. So I think we'll do shrewd business, do 50 million pounds in 4 positions, and there'll be good signings that can just improve the squad depth and get us over the line in certain cup competitions. But for me, when it comes to strikers, I know there's talk of Sesko and Goretzka and whatnot, but I just think I haven't done enough research if I'm being honest on these players. I just like to go with players that are Premier League proven and what I trust in. And I just think Isak is the perfect mold for Arsenal. And I think Arsenal should go big on him, but will they? Probably not. But Rashford, to kind of off, he's not the top of my list. But anything Arteta goes with, he's now my trust. And
you feel like you can trust Arteta because I think most of his signings have been really good, and you do feel quite confident whoever he brings in will do really well here. I think with Rashford, I think if he came, then I think I'd be happy, but I think it depends on who else we bring in because I think we've really got to bring a striker, like you said, Isaac. I'd be amazed to have him at Arsenal. I really like him. I think he would elevate this team, especially with Declan Rice in that team. Like I just think it'd be amazing to have him there. I'm quite confident that maybe he can come, but I suppose it depends on Newcastle because if they're a team building, they don't want to get rid of players.
I just think like go big. Like I don't see what Isak lacks. That's the biggest thing for me. Like you need a player that presses from the front. I see him press. He presses for Newcastle extremely well. Will be relentless from the front three. I know like when Jesus is in there, he presses and closes down so well from the front. Isak has that. His technical ability is unbelievable. He's seen his feet for a tall guy. Very good feet. Very skillful. He's quick. He's tall. He can win balls in the air. Maybe physicality. Maybe his downside. But then again, that can be worked on. Havertz for me started when he came to Arsenal. He wasn't physical. Now I see him as quite a bit of a physical player and gets in and gets stuck in dirty. So there's that. He finishes the ball extremely well. Isak, very comfortable. Thierry Henry-esque a lot of the times. He's got very
it reminds me of Henry.
He wears the 14 at Newcastle. I think it'll be a straight swap for Eddie Nketiah. Probably get him to another club and take the 14 top off Eddie. I just think Isak, and I've seen him in videos at Newcastle, like vibes, good energy, understands like the English, like England, English language and whatnot. And I feel like he'd fit in so well with a lot of the players. I think he's very good energy. I've seen a lot of funny videos with him. So, and on top of that, a good player, technical, like I said,
he's very good.
So he fits in and he can play across the three. Like you can play, well, I don't know how he plays on the right, but he can definitely play out on the left and he also can play out front. So I just think it makes complete sense. But again, I'm not
Yeah.
the board. I'm not the
How
board on
much do you think you would pay for him, or Arsenal would pay for him? Because I don't think he'd be cheap. I reckon it'd be something quite expensive for
It'll be
him.
very expensive.
Yeah.
I just, I don't see Arsenal breaking their transfer record again.
Yeah,
Obviously,
just fair
105
one
million
player.
for Declan Rice. I don't see them going again and beating it straight in the next window. I just think he's worth about what he's actually worth compared to what he's going to be priced at are two different things. I think you should be able to get him for 85 million, but that's still a lot of money. But
Yeah, it's quite.
I think if you really, really do good business, I don't know when his contract's up though. So that could be, it might actually be up quite in a few years, which might boost it up to past 100 million mark. I think he'll be valued by the club at 100 to 120, which is crazy. But when you see the market, what Chelsea are throwing up with numbers and the players that they're getting their players for, and he's a striker. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
100
think they'll
million.
try and price him at 100. I think they'll try to price him at 100. I'm trying to think because the top goal scorer list, I was just trying to think of the people like Ollie Watkins can now be priced quite high because of the season he had. So I don't know. But I reckon they'd want 100 for him. But I just think you could maybe get him for 85.
Yeah, I think especially with Declan Rice, I didn't think we would actually pay that much for him. And looking back, he has been a bargain for that price. But
Yep.
I think with players nowadays, I think with Isaac, I think if he came, I would feel confident that he would definitely take us to a different level, especially in, like we said, in cup games. We can always bench a few players, and I think it's good to have the option of a really strong team and also players that you can bring on, because we've seen with Trossard as well. Sometimes he does play and he does well, but even him coming off the bench, he really helps us. So I think it's good to have different options of players. I mean, I know we mentioned Saka before. I think this season, I do think fans, not Arsenal fans, but I suppose rival fans, have been a bit harsh on him because he still has had a good season. But I definitely think we need to bring someone in, to kind of compete with him, maybe as a bit of a rotation, because I do think he needs a bit of a rest as well, especially. But he kind of likes playing all the time.
Yeah,
So
you always hear him say that. You always hear Mikel say he wants to play every game. When you say about our rival, I've been harsh on Saka this season, and if I'm honest, don't regret it. And
mm,
I will stay on him. And I want to be clear that it's not like me hating or anything because he's my favorite player at Arsenal Football Club.
yeah, it's not personally.
He's actually my favorite player. But I said this in the video before, like I was disappointed in the performances, but his numbers are unbelievable. So his stats are
Mhm.
incredible this season, and top goal scorer for Arsenal. I can't argue when you put the stats in front of me. However, I can argue the fact that I watched you throughout the whole season, and you can go to another level. The reason why I say that is because there was conversations of you being world class midway
Mhm.
through the season after the bye. There was conversations between you and Foden, and sadly, Foden went and took that crown towards the end of
Yeah,
the season. He went and won Player of the Year or Player of the Season. Sorry, so like and that hurts me. That hurts me. And that's nothing against Saka. That's just the fact that I know you can get to that level and be the one that picks up the player of the season or prove to them that you're a better player than Phil Foden. But it's just it's sad that he kind of tailed off towards the end. Yes, his numbers are incredible, and you can argue with me till the cows come home about his numbers. But I'm telling you, I've seen those performances dip and him not be there at times. I've seen him, yes, add numbers to the stat pad, but I need to see consistent performances and be the guy. Like I said, there's no superstars at Arsenal mentally and the way they carry themselves. But I want you to be the guy at Arsenal that is
mm,
really the standout. Even in the player for Arsenal, the player of the season, like not even nominations, but when we have discussions with fans and I have discussions amongst
yeah.
the AFTV office, we say, "Who's your player of the season?" No one really mentioned Saka. They
Mhm.
said we kind of got to give him a shout because of these numbers, but no one was really advocating for a big push. It was more the Salibas, the Declan Rices, the Martin Odegaards, even the
Yeah.
Havertz's and the Ben White. So for me, I need that from you
Mm.
going into this season. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and that's not against him. I think he's like I said, he's
Yeah.
my favorite player, but I just need to see that from him.
I do get that because, like you said, his numbers have been impressive. But I think what I've noticed is when I've been watching him, he's quite predictable. Like,
Yeah.
I think players are working at what he's able to do. I mean, I don't know if that's down to him playing a lot. Maybe he's a bit tired, but it's really strange because, you know, he scored in the Champions League against Bayern, and then you'll have a few impressive performances, and then he kind of goes a bit predictable
Yeah,
again. So I think that is something he could work on for next season. I mean, I know Foden this season has been absolutely incredible.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I do think there is a bit of a difference between Foden and Saka at the moment. I think as well, Foden has played with Man City. You know, he's had that experience of being in, you know, the Champions Leagues
Mm.
for a lot longer than Saka. So maybe that's also another thing, because Saka's really had to help us in, you know, when we were eighth, you know, in Europa
Yeah,
League and all of that. So
yeah, yeah.
I do think as well that's another thing. But I think next season is going to be a big season for Saka, because I know this season, like you said, his numbers have been good, but I think performance-wise, maybe we want to see a bit more from him.
Yeah, 100, not 100%. I think, listen, me wanting Saka to be, you know, how do I say this? I want him to be recognised, obviously, over Phil Foden. That's not to take
Yeah,
away from Phil Foden, because Phil Foden this season went crazy. He's an
yeah,
unbelievable to watch as well. He's phenomenal. I want to give him his. I'll give him his credit. Like, probably one of, yeah. Since someone said it, I think Flex said it. Since Rooney, the one of the best English talents, and he's on the way to being that. I think he's incredible. So that's not to take away what he's
yeah,
achieved this season and what he's achieved in the past. Phil Foden's an amazing player, but I want that and more for Saka. But yeah, I think next season's a big one for him, not just for the fact that you said,
mm,
you know, that just to get him recognized and being, you know, the main guy, which is what I want for him.
mm.
Also, the fact that this hurts me to say, he's probably going to want to start winning silverware as well. Like, he might see it from when he goes to England and with the boys, and he might even see Phil Foden and seeing like the success they're getting and what comes with that success. When you're winning trophies, you also get recognized as, oh, well, you was in that team, so you are that sort of player. Like Jack Grealish, at the end of the day, Jack Grealish
Yeah,
is a good player, but because he's in that City side that's winning trebles and winning the four-peat, they put a lot more emphasis on how good he is because he's in a winning team. So that's the day I've always feared, is when our players start to feel like, oh,
yeah,
when's that going to happen for us? So that's why next season is a big season for these players, because I know they're going to want silverware. Reece said it. Reece Nelson said it to me in the week. He said we were devastated that we didn't win a trophy at the end of the season. You could see it on the, because if you're watching carefully, of course you can see it on the pitch when the players after the final whistle went. But he said even like the dressing room and the group chat after was just, it was down, and I understand that. So that
yeah.
also affects you going into next season to get back on the horse and go again. And if you're not winning the silverware, you got to start thinking, okay, I love this team, but what's best for my career as well? Because I don't want to be
Yeah.
a Harry Kane, if I'm being real.
And now it is hard, because I do kind of think, even if, say, we do win like a League Cup or something next season, regarding the
Mm.
league, it'll be our third season competing. If we don't win it, kind of might feel like we're going around in circles a bit, because I do worry, you know, if we don't win it, it's like another season's gone by, we've not won the league. But I think if we do win things, I think that will obviously be a different matter, because I think it will. I think, you know, Saka. There are players like Odegaard as well that really love Arsenal. And yeah, you look at Saliba as well, Gabriel. They're probably the best defence we've had in a very long time,
Very
and
long time.
they deserve to win silverware. They deserve league titles, and the Champions League is quite interesting, because next season I'd probably say it'd be good to maybe get to a semi-final or at least a final. One of them I'd be happy with. I think we are going in a positive direction, but the silverware thing is something that we've got to do, because we might lose these players soon if it does come to it and we don't win anything. And it is difficult because each season's going by and we're not really winning anything, but we're also enjoying, you know, the journey at the moment, because like you said, it's been a good season, especially when you go to games. The connection you have there between the players is absolutely amazing. And yeah, things just feel like we're changed at Arsenal. It feels like,
We are, we are, we
yeah,
are. We're on the right path, and there'll be rival fans laughing like, "Oh, second place participation awards and all that." And I don't want to get too confused though with like, yeah, we won the FA Cup. Let's not forget that. And I know it was 4 years ago, but like, I have Tottenham fans laughing at us and taking the mick, and I'm like, you guys haven't won a trophy since
yeah,
'08. Like, please, like, calm yourself
yeah,
down. Like, let's not get into this conversation and debate, because you're far off it. So
mm,
I do want people to remember that. And I know people will say, yeah, participation award, second place twice, like it's not good enough. But like you mentioned there, the steps we've taken are phenomenal, and people
yeah,
enjoy watching this club again, and people will really enjoy, you know, yeah, talking about Arsenal and having chess and giving, you know, chess back to these teams that, you know, laughed at us. There was areas where we were literally a banter club, but we had to just take our licks and just literally just
Yeah,
keep our heads low, which
it was
which
a
was
difficult
frustrating
time.
times. Yeah, really difficult times. And players that I was never attached to at Arsenal Football Club, not at all. There wasn't any. There literally wasn't any for a long time. Like I was forcing attachments to players. Like I can't. Yeah, just some of the players like Hector Bellerin's, the Lacazette's, like big them up.
Yeah,
They played their part, but like I wasn't close to this team, and now I feel
yeah, you do
really,
feel
you know,
close, yeah.
feel close, and you feel infused to get back to. I can't wait for the season to start again. It is going to be exhausting getting back on the horse, but I can't wait to see them, you know, play
Yeah,
back out on the pitch and see what they come back with going into this season. So yeah, yeah, it is. But silverware's a must. But listen, that's what it is the
yeah,
pressure of being an Arsenal Football Club. We can't accept, you know, a long run without trophies because we are, you know, we have history. We have great history.
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
it is something that we need to, you know, bring back. And it's fair play to Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
He's the one doing it since the Emirates. I'll be real, like he's the one that's really brought us, you know, back to what
Mm.
was promised to us when we left Highbury to be competing in Champions League with the Bayern Munichs of the world, and he's kind of brought us there. But now all that's left to do is to win us trophies. So, and I believe that's going to come.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, Arteta's. You can see how much he loves Arsenal, and I think he's the perfect guy to take us that step further. So next season will be massive for us in that. Hopefully, we'll win some silverware. And before we go, I wanted to ask you some questions that people have asked
Oh
me
yeah,
to ask you. I
I
saw
did see this.
some,
I did
and
see
like,
this, and I
yeah,
was like, oh my days,
I
they're probably
was
going to get
no,
maybe.
you're actually okay. Right,
They're okay. Yeah, I thought I'd just get a load of hate stuff. I don't know. Let's see.
no, don't worry. It's all
What-
nice. I'll start off with like a really good one. One person asked about if you could give any advice to a content creator starting up, or yeah, just any advice you could give them really.
to a content creator, a starting content creator.
Yeah, starting their own like channel.
Start, and this is the start. That's the. I
Yeah,
always say this to people. Always say, "Oh, if I want to do content creation and whatnot, what's the first thing I should do?" And I just say start, and it's really bad because I should take my own advice. Like everyone keeps talking about, you need to get your own channel, you need to get your own channel, but I'm building for it. But yeah, you need to start, and then
yeah,
the biggest bit of advice in this game is consistency. It's
mm,
exhausting. You go through diet days of like trying to get guests on regularly or trying to do a video and going on camera when you don't feel great. But you have to be consistent in this thing. I think many people that you see at the top, they made it because of consistency. You have to be consistent throughout your time. Um, and yeah, and then also I think so that's one. So two pieces of advice. Yeah, start, be consistent. And people always say find a niche because this field is so congested now. Find a niche. People do football, but find your niche
yeah,
within football. And I do agree with that, but I think it is difficult because it's so congested. Everyone's finding their own niches, but I just think, yeah, be consistent, start and do find a niche, but you don't have to be too obscure. I think you have to just do something that's true to you, something that you actually
yeah,
believe in. Otherwise, no one's going to want to come on the camera and talk about things they don't enjoy. And I think that's important. So find your niche, but also make sure you enjoy it and love it. Don't get into this for the wrong reasons.
yeah,
That's something I think is massive. I think a lot of people are just flooding into this space because they see it's working and they feel like, you know, I can turn on a camera and just do it. I think if you're going to do it and do something different and
mm,
have a passion for it, I think that's key. That's what I'm struggling with. If I'm being open and honest, is like people tell me to start a channel. I'm struggling with, okay, I want to start a channel, but I don't want to sit and talk about, you know, football for day in, day out because that's what I
mm.
do at work anyway.
Yeah. You
So
need like someone to switch off from it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to come home from being at the studio all day talking about
do
football.
more football.
Go
Yeah,
talk about football again. Like I can do it in bits in
yeah,
spatches because like I said, I'm very lucky enough to speak to players and work with players and stuff, but that's not what I want the bulk of my content to be. So I think that's a good bit of advice to just find something that you enjoy and
mm,
find a niche and stay consistent with it because yeah,
yeah.
it is probably the most difficult thing to do, but once you get it, it does work.
I always say as well, like when you first start up, your first video won't be amazing, but that's just how you've got to do it, and you
Yeah.
build on that. And yeah, I do agree. I think I think you've got to do it for the right reasons. Do it because you know it's your passion and because you love it as well. And
Yeah.
like you said, there's so many YouTubers out there. There's so much to talk about.
There's loads now. It's full, but I get
Yeah,
it. I do understand it, and again, that was my starting advice. But advice along the way is you're gonna get hate, whatever
yeah,
you do.
it is tough. That's a
So
part of
just
it.
be aware, the guy that or whoever, or the female or the male that asks that question, like understand it comes with you're gonna get people that don't agree with your opinion and whatnot. Understand that's part of it, and don't let that stop you. I mean, I get it a lot, and then as long as well on that journey as well, as like you said there, your first video won't
Mhm.
be great, but you go along the way. That's part of the journey. Like
Yeah,
I'm a testament to that in the sense of if you look at my first video with Troops on the Bias Premier League show when I first started AFTV, I was like a deer in headlights. Like I didn't know what was going on. So from then to where I'm at now, um, it takes time and it does
yeah,
take work. But again, if you've got your own channel, you'll have your own fan base. And I think, it takes time. Once you get over those hurdles, you'll realize, yeah, I'm in the right space and things will happen. But it
yeah.
comes with difficulties. I've been through it, but I'm proud enough to say that now where I sit and where I stand and the mics I hold and the people I interview and speak with, very grateful. But it came with a bit of a bumpy road.
Yeah, it does take time as well because when I was speaking to Robbie, he was saying how, you know, he's done AFTV for like 10 years. It doesn't just happen
Yeah.
overnight. You've got to build on it. So I think if you're doing it, starting off a bit slow, I think you just got to keep going because eventually it will become good. I think you've got to just do it because you love it. But I also know a lot of people nowadays can get fixated on like numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to do it because that's what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it because you enjoy doing it. Numbers aren't everything. Honestly, like even when I do my channel, like my
Mm.
little small community, anytime I post a vlog, couple hundred. But
Yeah,
again, the one bit of I think this has been said by many content creators,
yeah.
like 700 or 1,000, say 1,000 people are watching your stuff and commenting or liking. Like, put that in a room.
It's a
Like it's
lot, yeah.
mind blowing. Yeah, like I know that sounds small numbers, and it probably is to some of the big content creators, but that's where they all started with
Mm.
that. And then, like I said, if you put them in a room, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. Like to this day, I get shocked with the amount of people that stop us from either AFTV
Yeah,
or social media, like on Instagram, the followers I have, or TikTok. Like, but all I am is just an Arsenal fan. Like it's mind blowing. So never forget, like those are the
yeah,
things um, that you can't lose touch of. Like keep your feet on the ground. Doesn't matter if there's a small 500. That's a 500 community coming to watch your video. Like be proud of that. Like honestly,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It clicked to me when I used to play football to a high level, someone may know, and I had people in the stands, and I thought that was a lot. And then you hear the attendance of the match day, it's I don't know, 500 or sometimes 700 or even 1,000. And now sometimes I get that on videos that I speak on, and I think, wow, like, and more, way more most of the
It's
time. On
yeah,
videos I speak on, I think, wow, like there's a stadium that come and watch our team play, and there's fans of me. To then now I speak on a video, and there's more than that listen and show appreciation to. So it's incredible. It's an amazing thing, but understand it takes time and you want to grow
yeah,
the audience. But everyone started like that. They started
yeah. You
from
have to start somewhere.
exactly that. So
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And someone actually did ask, they just wanted to know a bit about your football like career, just a bit. I think they're just interested to see how it went for you, really, because I know a
mm,
lot of people know you from AFTV, but you did play football, didn't you?
yeah. So I was at Crystal Palace as a teenager in the academy under 16s. And I know people always be like, oh, football. Like how you don't know football, blah blah. But I've been around some
Mm.
top coaches, players, directors of football. I remember at under 16s at Crystal Palace, John Salako used to take some of our sessions. I was with players like Hiram Bertang, Sadi Kaikai, Reece Alasani at Crystal Palace, and got released. Got released at 16, and then signed my scholarship at Crawley Town. So 2 years I was there. And yeah, played with many players. I mean, AFTV did a documentary about it. International
Yeah.
Claude Davis was there. Played with many players. Pogba's brother came. This was after I got released actually, but I came back to the first team. He was at Crawley as well. Ashley Young's brother was in the team. Lewis Young for a long time. I mean, I don't want to keep reading off people, but there was a lot of people there. A lot of people that I played with and worked with, and some really well known players. Steve Coppell actually was a director of football at a time as well, which was massive to me. Also, he gave me a lot of advice. But Crawley Town, under 16 to 18 youth scholarship, got released, then went back and got offered a non-contract. So I was there for a year on a I didn't sign a non-contract. I was there for a year with the first team, but then turned down a non-contract at the end of that. A non-contract, people that have never heard of it, is a contract as a professional footballer, but you don't get paid. But whilst I was there, training with the first team and actually playing matches in cup games and behind closed doors for them, I was going on trial at other clubs. I was at Nottingham Forest for a long time. I don't want to go into it too much. But yeah, I was at Nottingham Forest for a very long time. And then, trial at other clubs. I went to Brighton for a bit, Dagenham and Redbridge. I was a journeyman. Stevenage, I was at for a bit. Brighton, Stevenage, Dagenham. I went everywhere because I was just in search of a club. And then at end of 19 years old, as I was turning 20, I kind of just said, I've had enough. And I changed my career and went into performing arts. And that's when I went into body doubling and then working with top athletes. Marcus Rashford, Aubameyang's on the wall.
I love that.
So I did a body double for him. Ollie Watkins, close with him, speak with him. Nathan Ake. A lot of the players, the top players, I body doubled.
I love that.
After playing professional football. So, and again, sorry to carry on. I know this is not my professional footballing career, but I have a company called Talent Transfer, which if you see me on social media, you'll know that I mentor footballers at all levels in the football league, from championship all the way down to national league. I go to football clubs week in, week out whilst the season's on, and do workshops and mentor them. That's why I have good relationships with players that are like James Hills at Bournemouth, and many other young professional players. And a lot of players know me from me going to their clubs and speaking with them and working with them, their staff and family. So, I'm heavily involved in football, as much as which people will be new to hearing. I hated football after I left playing because of the way I was treated. Fell out of love with the game. I even fell out of love with watching football, especially Arsenal in that time there. And I refound my love for the game through going back to games and being a fan and through AFTV. So that's kind of the story. And helping the next generation of football. But right now, my life, as much as I try to run away from it after playing and going into dance and ballet and whatnot, my life is submerged in football, whether it's CONCACAF, traveling, doing international breaks, whether it's AFTV, whether it's the Euros, whether it's Copa America, where it's speaking to chief execs of football clubs, players, academies, staff, parents. My life is football. So
I love that. I hope that's answered the question. I do love that. It's great to hear about your experiences and your journey through football, because I know a lot of people just know you from working with AFTV, but you've actually played football yourself and been through that journey. So it's great to hear that. And I actually wanted to end on this because I just thought it was funny. Someone wants to know your favourite moment when you've interviewed Kelechi.
That's random. I like that.
I know. I read them and I thought some of them are like so random.
So random. That's a good question. That is a good question. I think. I'll be honest. The one that sticks out to me is the final day of the season, and that's the most recent one. Because he says it's the best interview because we just had and I know it actually went on. It will get clipped online because we were laughing and celebrating and enjoying the fact that we didn't win the league, but we weren't celebrating the fact we didn't win the league. That's just the vibes. When Arsenal win the game, I dance, he dances, it's good energy. And just, I don't know, I really find it, I feel like that was a full circle moment. From when I first started interviewing Kelechi, if you actually go back to some of the first ones, like it's very like, it's not stiff, but we argued, but it's not arguing. I know when it seems like we're arguing, but we're just very passionate about certain things, and we used to clash at times. And he used to really like stick it on me as a fan I'm interviewing, and I had to learn to give it back really and really stand on points. And I think it's come full circle now that that is the case. And I really enjoyed it because Kelechi lives a really good. Well, he gets himself in really good places. And it's funny, I see him in a lot
Yeah.
of these places now, and I just felt like a really full circle moment. As much as he thinks he's the guy, I also see him in these places, and we had a good laugh at the end of the season. But I think that is it. I think it might be the end of the against Everton, the last game of the season. That is one. Yeah, I think that is one. But I think he's good energy. He's good. Everyone on AFTV now, I have a really like a big liking to. Yeah, it's changed over the years. And I really enjoy interviewing the fans, and I think it's very balanced. Whether people are overly positive, overly negative, or in the middle, I think it's a very nice and I don't know if I've said this on the platform before, but I don't think people know how much I hate doing fan cams when we lose a game. Like, I really get in my head. Yeah, I really find it difficult. So I think nowadays, considering how good this Arsenal team is, I really enjoy speaking to fans because we don't really lose much. So it's good.
It must be tough, really, especially when you've lost and you're asking people sort of the similar questions, and you have to go through the game in your head about
Yeah,
when we've
you have
lost
to
it.
relive it. You have to then
Yeah,
ask
it's
questions of
tough.
the manager, the players, and really like, yeah, you have to play both sides, and that's how it. That, to be fair, that's what good interviewing is. But it's hard
Yeah,
because I'm also a fan as well. Let's not forget, I was sat in that stadium watching the game with them, and it's like
yeah.
I feel as much hurt as the person I'm interviewing, but I also have to then switch off and do a role. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you've got, for you, I'd just love to know. I think for me, like when you do YouTube, when
mm,
you interview people, I think it's something that you learn. Like,
yeah.
would you say you've always been good at interviewing, or do you think it's just something that takes time when you do each like videos?
I think that's a good question. I've always been a people person and like to speak and I think to build intelligence as well. I think the best thing to do is ask questions in
Yeah.
spaces that you feel uncomfortable or you've never been, or
Mhm.
around people that seem intellectual as well. So I've always been someone who asks questions. However, yeah, it's something I had to learn. So not to
Yeah, I
ask
think.
questions, of course not, but like just to ask the right questions. I think I'm a very a person who likes, who has a lot of high like intrigue. I like to know things. So I think I'd be a bit selfish when asking questions because it's questions of answers that I want to know. But however,
Yeah.
you have to you have to also be aware of, one, for me, how big the channel is, which is something I had to learn. So these questions you're asking, make sure they're the right ones, that
Yeah, make sure they're good.
they're the right questions. And the reason why I say that is because what people don't understand is I've been privy to the fact that AFTV will maybe throw a question out there in the content they're doing in the week or maybe after a game, and then you'll see these questions pop up on major platforms, media platforms, the BBCs, the Skies. Not to say that we are the front runners and maybe pushing that sort of narrative. However, you're thinking the same way as maybe the top people like the Linekers, the
Yeah.
Neville's and whatnot, because these questions are going around. Or it is that you ask a question that triggers these mainstream media. And to be honest, if I'm honest, I know that's the case because I get information from these big people that do research, or they're in conferences where like, oh, you came up in our meeting today, and this question and all that, which you guys, I believe, pushed it. So you have to understand that you are in a place where you have to ask the right questions, and
Yeah.
you build to it. People might look at it and say, "Oh, it's easy," but it's
Do you know what?
it's
It's really
not.
not,
It's really
honestly.
not. It's really not. And what's difficult for me is like, yes, I'm working with people that are recognized on the channel and have big followings, so you have to ask them the questions. But then also you have new people that you want to ask different questions and get different responses out of them, and you're building them as well. Like we had a guy called
Yeah.
Marty. A guy called Marty. He's new to the channel. He came this season, but he's a really good speaker of Arsenal, and fans really took to him. But I also think the questions helped. He will say that to you as well. But he's really good, and he said like, thank you, because I was nervous about coming on camera and whatnot, but you're making me feel at ease, and that's the point of the interview. You got to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes challenge the questions. I think Robbie's the best at being able to challenge people and be
I think
respectful and
it'd
all
be
that.
hard to challenge people. I think you'd have to be quite assertive for that. I
Yeah,
think.
you do, and I had to learn that in my nature. I had to learn that there is people that are good at interviews and push people, but that has never been my character. That's never been my personality. Yes, I'll push
Yeah.
you in certain things when I think you're speaking absolute nonsense, but I won't overham it because it's not in my nature to. But I'll still aim to get a good interview. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it does come with learning, but it depends what room you're in. For example, I'll just give a last thing to round off. Like I did a presenting course before I started AFTV, but I pre- presenting course for like what they were training me for is completely different to going on YouTube and being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. I have those skills in my locker, but this is when I went to that Bias Premier League show. I go to it, that first one. I was a deer in headlights because none of the things I did in that course and whatnot was ever used in what I do
Yeah.
today on YouTube. So there is a difference, but you got to be well versed in everything. I mean, I do content for Sidemen's chicken restaurant. Like I have to change the way I like the way I act and the way I question, the way I interview because
Yeah.
it's a whole different culture. But that comes with experience. It comes with learning. It comes with the journey. Apologies, that was a really long answer, but
No, I love that. I find it really interesting because I suppose it goes back as well to that question about creating your own sort of stuff. Because I think for me as an example, I used to hate being on camera. Like, when you used to have your school photos, I used to hate that as well.
yeah.
But do you know what? I think it's different because I think
But you're a
when you're,
natural. You're a natural for this, though. You're a natural.
I, I
The people you've interviewed, the people you get on your channel, and the way
yeah,
you interview them and question them and all that, you are a natural. And I'm biased because I feel like I go with kind hearts, and that is how I kind of move and
mm,
positive and all that, and live your life right and try and live with a
yeah.
smile. I feel like you're the same as that as well, and I think people warm to that and see that as well as why they're here on your channel and you get these big interviews. So big you up every time and continue, please,
Oh, you're
please.
too kind. But yeah, it's been really good chatting with you today as well. I've enjoyed answering them questions. They're all so random, but I loved
They
it.
were, they were.
I hope you all answered those questions good. But yeah, Cecil, it's always lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.
I've really, really enjoyed this. I hope you all have enjoyed this too. But yeah, it's been a really good chat. But thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
No, thank you so much, Sophie. It's always a pleasure. And apologies, we've really overrun. If you made it to this
Don't
far,
worry.
love for that. I really appreciate you getting this far. And please make sure you do like this video because big up Sophie. She's doing amazing things. And if you're new here, subscribe. Big up.
Thank you so much for that. And yeah, please do, if you can, hit the like button, do subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.